For 40 years, the U.S. government told you to eat low-fat everything. Skim milk, margarine, egg whites. Then in January 2026, they flipped the entire food pyramid upside down, and nobody can agree on whether it's brilliant or dangerous. The new Dietary Guidelines for Americans, released under the Trump administration, just rewrote the playbook. Protein and healthy fats now sit at the top of the pyramid. Whole grains got pushed to the bottom. Full-fat dairy is better. Butter is recommended for cooking for the first time in history. Beef tallow made the list. The theme is eat real food. The guidelines push whole. Minimally processed foods across the board. Added sugars are now recommended to stay below 6% of daily calories, down from the previous 10%. Ultra-processed foods get called out directly for the first time ever. And the old My Plate graphic, gone. Replaced with a pyramid that looks nothing like the one you grew up with. Here's what the science community is actually fighting about. The guidelines still cap saturated fat at 10% of daily calories. The American Heart Association recommends 6%, but the pyramid graphic visually emphasizes meat, eggs, and full-fat dairy, which are the biggest sources of saturated fat in the American diet. Harvard's nutrition source called it, quote, puzzling, given the visual emphasis on animal products high in saturated fat. Hold on, I need to clarify something. The text says limit saturated fat, but the picture says eat more of the foods that contain it. That's the core tension. The words and the image don't match. Then there's the process controversy. Normally, the guidelines are informed by the Dietary Guidelines Advisory Committee, an independent scientific panel that reviews the evidence. This time, the government rejected that committee's report. Instead, they brought in a different group of scientists who focused exclusively on nutrition science and excluded environmental and sustainability considerations entirely. Yale researchers pointed out a specific problem. The pyramid appears to minimize whole grains, but the actual text still recommends 2 to 4 servings of whole grains daily. If you just look at the graphic without reading the fine print, you get a very different message than what the document actually says. Let me reframe this. The actual nutrition science in the document isn't as radical as the coverage suggests. Most of the controversy is about the graphic design and the political process, not the calorie recommendations. What's actually good in the new guidelines? The sugar limits are the strongest ever. Ultra-processed foods are finally named as a problem. The emphasis on whole foods over processed substitutes is supported by most nutrition researchers. And the protein emphasis aligns with growing evidence that most Americans don't eat enough protein for optimal muscle maintenance and metabolic health. NBC reported that experts praised the limits on ultra-processed foods and added sugars, but criticized the meat and dairy emphasis. CNN noted that butter and beef tallow were listed as cooking options despite lacking essential fatty acids. The Guardian flagged that implementation in school lunch programs could push kids over the saturated fat limit. The beef tallow trend is real. According to Tastewise, demand for beef tallow increased 144% heading into 2026. Restaurants like Steak and Shake have already switched to it for frying. The new guidelines effectively gave federal backing to a trend that was already happening in kitchens across the country. Here's how I see it. The shift toward whole foods is overdue. Eating an actual egg instead of a processed egg substitute makes sense. But putting beef tallow on the same recommendation page as olive oil feels like ideology crept into the science. These guidelines matter because they shape school lunch programs, military nutrition, SNAP benefits, and food labeling for the next 5 years. When the pyramid changes, what 50 million school children eat for lunch changes with it. The bottom line? Eat real food, more protein, less sugar, less processed garbage. On those points, the science is clear, but don't let a pyramid graphic tell you what to cook with. Read the actual evidence. Make your own call. What surprised you most about the new guidelines? Drop it in the comments.